Have you ever found yourself between a rock and a hard space, a hard place? You know, those times and places where you have to make tough decisions, difficult choices, especially those that put you at odds with the way things have always been, with the powers that be, with folks in authority. Well, this week we come back to the three young men we met last week, and they have finished their course in all things Babylonian with flying colors. At this point in the story, they've actually been in the employ of King Nebuchadnezzar for almost 20 years. You would say they've got job security, they've got comfortable lives. Now, we no longer even know them by the names which assign them or connect to them with being God's people. We know them now by their Babylonian names: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, when we get to chapter 3 of Daniel, we hear that in the same year that Jerusalem is destroyed, that the temple is left with not one stone on top of another, that place that symbolized for God's people, God's presence with them. Over in the plain of Dura, Nebuchadnezzar builds a tower, a tall statue, 90 feet high, 9 feet wide. It is immense. And it is covered with gold. It is dazzling and brilliant and awe-inspiring. Now that statue, of course, doesn't speak, but it does say as clear as can be, look who is in charge here. Look who is in control. It was a statue meant to put the power of Babylon on display for all the world to see. Now, for Nebuchadnezzar, this tower also became an opportunity to check obedience and loyalty. And so the word went out throughout the empire that when the music played, everyone was to stop what they were doing and to bend the knee, to bow down, to worship the symbol of the power of Babylon. And when the music played, every knee bowed, except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, when called on the carpet before King Nebuchadnezzar, it's really important to hear what they said. In the 3rd chapter, beginning in the 16th verse, hear their reply to King Nebuchadnezzar about their nonviolent resistance to him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. Faced with dire consequences, faced with a life and death decision, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego choose not to bow down, not to bend down to the powers that be. Must have been tough. And it made Nebuchadnezzar more than a little mad. He was really hot under the collar. He had the furnace fired up to hotter than hot, and then, true to his word, he had the 3 thrown into the fire. But somehow he was able to see what was happening to these who had been thrown bound into the fire, and when he looked, he saw not 3 men in the fire, but 4. there was a fourth man with them, and they were unbound, and they were free, even in the midst of the fire. Now, we might find ourselves between a rock and a hard place. We may find ourselves up against powers that have been in place for a long, long time. We may be up against those in position and prestige and power. But we're invited by this profile and perseverance to remember that when we stand firm against powers that oppress and are evil and continue injustice, we're not alone. God is with us, and we are in God's hands. It might not be easy. And as the three said, we don't know whether we come through unhurt, but we do know that God stands with us. Blessings to you.